Welcome to this podcast from Stratfor, leader in global intelligence.
Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez is in Moscow today, where, among other things, he's pledged diplomatic recognition for South Ossetia and Abkhazia, the pro-Russian breakaway provinces of Georgia. Moscow's the next to the last stop on a world tour that's taken Chavez to several countries, including a number of key energy producers, since the beginning of the month. Hello, and thanks for tuning in. This is the Stratfor Daily Podcast for Thursday, September the 10th. I'm Marla Dial, and I've been speaking with Stratfor analyst Matt Gertken about President Chavez's travels and the ultimate purpose of this world tour. He says there's a definite message being sent in the destinations that were chosen. In addition to Russia and Belarus, they've included Algeria, Libya, Syria, Turkmenistan, and Iran.
All of these states share the fact that they're at variance with the United States. The U.S. is the global superpower, and these states, for whatever reason, usually because of the way that the cards have fallen throughout the past 100 years or longer, stand at variance with the U.S. Chavez is currying favor with these countries for actually several reasons. The first of which is to just do kind of a provocative thing where he thumbs his nose at the U.S. and kind of cultivates a coalition or an axis of evil, as he called it, where essentially he's looking for partners and friends in trying to develop or make, the initial movements towards a world alignment that's non-U.S. centered. At the same time, of course, everyone understands the reality, which is that United States power is overwhelming. And therefore, the more banal purpose of this tour is to sign specific deals on a range of economic and technical matters that Venezuela sorely needs the help on, and some of these other states also may need help on or partnership on or could benefit from.
What do you expect to come out of today's meeting with Russia's president and prime minister?
The Russian one is a very high-profile meeting. Some of Chavez's meetings haven't yielded all that much concrete. But the Russians and the Venezuelans have signed several agreements. They've signed a memorandum of understanding on Russian investment in the Orinoco Belt, which is one of the really oil-rich areas in Venezuela. Venezuela, of course, needs outside investment to develop its oil resources, and it also needs assistance with equipment and with some of the expertise that the Russians can give. At the same time, Russia and Venezuela have an arms trade. Russia deals arms to Venezuela, and while there weren't any specific arms deals this time, the Russians have promised to give a loan to Venezuela to later purchase weapons. And also, the Venezuelans are looking at a military cooperation deal with the Russians that would involve training of personnel and also equipment. And so you have a number of areas where these two work closely together. And it does make the United States nervous. So Chavez achieves his goal of both sticking it to the U.S. and benefiting his own national interests.
Chavez's recent meetings in Iran were especially interesting. There's been talk of Venezuela supplying Iran with gasoline, which obviously speaks directly to the sanctions that Western powers are considering now over the nuclear issue. How substantial is this talk?
It's difficult to say. Chavez has promised 20,000 barrels per day to Iran. The problem is he would have to be able to produce that in Venezuela because a number of refineries that Venezuela utilizes are actually in U.S. territory. And of course, the U.S., if it does impose major gasoline restrictions on Iran, would not really allow refineries on its territory to be used to ship gasoline to Iran. So Venezuela would have to rely on its domestic refineries, which have had a lot of maintenance problems, a lot of delayed capacity upgrades and improvements. His ports are notoriously congested, and of course there's the issue of finding someone who's willing to ship this gasoline and willing to insure it. So Chavez faces a number of just basic problems right there. And in fact, the refining issue in his own country has been bad enough that some sources even claim that they're on the verge of having to import gasoline in Venezuela as well, which would be very unusual, of course, for an energy producer like Venezuela, and yet at the same time that's exactly the situation Iran is in. So whether he can deliver on this is going to be a bit of a stretch. Not to mention the fact that if he does violate a U.S. sanction on Iran and send all this gasoline in that direction, he will greatly irritate the United States. Typically, the U.S. and Venezuela, while public appearances are of a very bad relationship, they try not to really fight it out because the U.S. needs Venezuelan oil and Venezuela needs not to be beat up by the U.S. But, in a situation where the tensions are as high as they would be during these sanctions, then you really could have tit for tat and retaliations on both sides, and that would get ugly. I don't think either side wants that. So Venezuela, its relationship with Iran is definitely going to be put to the test if it does this, and it would be a very bold action of Chavez's.
That's analyst Matt Gertkin. He covers Latin American affairs for Stratfor. You can find more analysis from Matt and the rest of the team by visiting our website at www.stratfor.com. I'm Marla Dial. That's it for today, but hope you'll join us again tomorrow when Colin Chapman hosts. Take care.